So this is my mom, this is my dad, this is my brother Cameron, and this is my grandma. Get everything set up here. Okay. Stroke was responsible for 1 out of every 6 deaths caused by cardiovascular disease in 2018. Stroke affects more than 795,000 people in the United States each year. About 610,000 of those people, of those people suffering a stroke for the first time, and about 185,000 people suffering a stroke for the second, third, or however many times they've suffered a stroke before. Stroke is one of the primary causes of long-term impairment in the United States. Many that are more than half of stroke survivors aged 65 and up lose their mobility due to having a stroke. So today we're going to get into stroke severity and the different types of strokes. There's 3. There's 2 major, and there's 1 known as a mini stroke. But before we get into that, we're going to get a little bit into the history. This information comes from Healthline, and it stated that more than 2,400 years ago, a man named Hippocrates, who's known as the father of medicine, identified a stroke for the first time. He named it apoplexy, which is a Greek phrase meaning struck down by violence. Now, Hippocrates, he's not often credited with discovering a stroke because he didn't really get into the science realm of it. The man that's mainly known for discovering a stroke is Jacob Wedfer, who discovered that something interrupted the blood circulation in the brains of patients who died from apoplexy centuries later in the 1600s. Strokes can change a person's life just within a second. I know this firsthand because my grandfather suffered a stroke on January 6th, and 3 months later he would pass away on April 12th. And this truly has impacted my life and my whole family's life because he was just so important to our family. According to the CDC, every 40 seconds someone suffers a stroke in the United States, and every 4 minutes someone dies. It's really devastating what these strokes can do, and this is why I chose to do my presentation on it. So here we have a couple pictures. Here is a picture of Hippocrates, and here's a picture of Jacob Wedfer. These 2 were mentioned in the slide previously. So now we're going to get into the most common type of major stroke, which is the ischemic stroke. This occurs when the blood arteries in the brain narrow or block, and this results from substantially restricted blood flow, which is known as ischemia, where it gets its name. This information comes from Cedars-Sinai, which is a nonprofit hospital in Los Angeles, California, and it also comes from Midline Plus. Now, there has a theory has come out saying that COVID-19 can increase your chances of suffering an ischemic stroke. This is, of course, a theory and has yet to be proven, so there's no way of really telling if this is true or not. So now, actually, we have a picture of an ischemic stroke. It's showing that the arteries in the brain narrowing and blocking, which cause the stroke. Now we're going to get into the second major type of stroke, which is the hemorrhagic stroke. It happens when a blood vessel in your brain leaks or ruptures. And these are a number of the factors that link directly to this stroke. This stroke accounts for about 13% of all strokes, though one previously, the ischemic stroke, it accounts for about 87%. So here's the number of factors. It's high blood pressure that's uncontrolled, excessive use of blood thinners, a traumatic event such as a car accident, and just different things like that. And these all came from the website Midline Plus. So now that we've gone through the 2 major types of strokes, we're going to get into the mini stroke, which is known as a TIA, or transient ischemic attack. Here's a picture of that. It's showing the area of temporarily blocked blood flow. So your body acts as if you're suffering from a stroke when you're really not. It's known as a mini stroke. If you're suffering from these, you're going to want to contact medical attention as soon as possible because you could suffer a stroke within the next little bit of time. This information comes from the Mayo Clinic, which is a very high up research hospital. A transient ischemic attack has no long-term consequences. They're triggered by a brief interruption, as you can see in this picture, in blood flow to a portion of your brain, which can last as little as 5 minutes. So as I stated earlier, you're going to want to contact medical attention as soon as possible. if you're suffering from one of these. So now you have learned about all the types of strokes. You've learned about the 2 major and the mini stroke. So now, hopefully, I pray that you will never have to go through one of these situations. But if you do, hopefully you're now a little bit prepared. You can tell symptoms and causes and know why and what's happening. If I could give you one piece of advice, it would just to be love your loved ones while they're there. That's one thing I wish. I'm glad I didn't. I had such a close relationship with my grandfather. I'm so thankful for it. So if you love someone and you know they love you back and y'all have that close relationship, and even if you don't, call someone and tell them that you love them, because tomorrow is never promised.